Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon.
Hey guys, it's Vandiazzo back at another card fight Vanguard deck profile. So if you guys enjoy, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and donate to the Patreon. Let's get one started, shall we? Today we have Brandt Orfist deck profile for set 4. Now, Orfist in set 4 had a very interesting turn for deck profiling because just to get a little bit of a note of what all of you two are to expect, this deck doesn't have PGs. And I will admit to this, I do not take credit for this deck. I mean, part of this deck was made by me, because I did do some fuckery around it, but also this deck was inspired by my friend Mondola's. I'm not going to say his real name, because I'm pretty sure he doesn't want me to, but we all know who Mondola is. He's like, I guess, the shadow helper on occasions, and also just my friend. So if you want any knowledge of this deck, it's mainly his with a couple of changes from me, but yeah, a little backstory on this. He asked me to build him a set 4 deck, but I had no idea, or he asked how to build a set 4 deck, and I kind of just led him on a trail, and I said, jokingly, why not use PGs, because we both know how well it worked out for me. He actually followed in that Futsuth, and now, weirdly enough, if you put PGs in this deck does worse. I don't understand how, but it does. So, let's go ahead and get started. First up, our starter today is Cardinal Fang Fuoivi. Grade 0 boost, 5k shield, 6k base. Auto once wrote upon. Draw a card if you went second. So, standard starter, nothing too special about it. It's just the draw if you went second, that is. So, I do want this starter overall just because, you know, it's a Cardinal card. The entire deck is mainly Cardinals, minus the over trigger and the orders. So, you might as well go for the all Cardinal build. So, Fuoivi is our starter here, even though it's not required. Our over trigger today is Star Dragon Deity of Infinitude, Elder Breath. Okay, there are occasions where I will argue Obari, but this is not one of them. Grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 5k base. Over trigger, you may have one over trigger in your deck. It reveals a trigger, remove that card, draw a card, choose one of your units, it gets plus one mainly for the turn. If revealed during draw check, activates additional effect, which is double the power in critical of all your front row units until end of turn, and increase to double its power in critical when activated. So basically, if you drive check this, you draw, you give your 1 million to a unit, then you double that million to 2 million, and then its critical becomes at least 2, and then the same with everyone else. So Elder Breath is really good in the sense that it makes one column extremely enormous and then another column also extremely enormous, while also making the Vanguard, I pray for your opponent that they PG'd it, because everything that is swinging will most likely hit into the 50s. I mean, well, maybe not the 50s, but at the very least the 40s, like high 30s to low 40s at the very least with double critical. So Elder Breath's really good in that sense. Definitely adds a lot of pressure in a power deck. Really welcomed here. One of. Normal triggers. 3 copies of Cardinal Fang Fulgurus. This is where the turns start to take, because as we all know, I refuse to run the non-Cardinal cards in a Cardinal deck. So, yeah, 3 copies of Fulgurus for, you know, being a draw trigger. You do want the draw trigger to help fill up your hand, so 1, you can guard more, but 2, you can get more of your Shadow Army token makers more. 4 copies of Cardinal Draco and Pyro. Grade 0 boost, 15k shield, 4k base. Continuous guard circle. If your opponent's Vanguard's a grade 3 guard, it gets plus 5k shield. So 20k shield while also being a front in a deck that, you know, typically your 2 columned rear guards have 30k each without Persona Ride, so pretty easy to hit 40 there, which is really nice. And then the critical trigger in Cardinal Draco Babazoid, like I said before, 40k, 30 or 40k columns with extra crits on them. Yeah, that's terrifying to stare down, especially because you're going to do all that when they're at grade 2. So, pretty good. And our heal is Cardinal Prima Nabalium. As I said, I don't want to run the effect triggers in here if they don't have Cardinal in their name. Now, that's not saying you should do that. If you want to go run Robocop and the draw trigger for us that does the 5k shield thing, go run them. Please be smart. I do this on my own accord. I am my own worst enemy. Don't let me be your worst enemy. 4 of Nabellum, though, because we do need heal. And now into our grade 1s. 3 copies of Cardinal Prima Eclopa. Grade 1, boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Auto rear when this unit attacks or boost if your world is dark. Sorry, if your world is Abyssal Dark Knight. Retire a Shadow Army token, countercharge 1. Yeah, I like this grade 1 a lot. Granted, it requires you, when it swings or boosts, that you have to have a Shadow Army token at the time, and hopefully it's not the unit that it's boosting. But it can boost or swing into anything. And not to mention, it's just a countercharge, an easy countercharge at that, and it can open up your field for next turn when you want to call it more Shadow Army tokens. So all around, Eclopa is a really good grade 1 to me. I like her a lot, and I give her a 3 of. 4 copies of Cardinal Prima El Tapo. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. I remember back when it was released, I'm pretty sure I said something about, I can see this thing being useful, but I cannot see how it will be amazingly useful. I suggested it to Mondola. The girl does work. Girl does a job well. So auto, when it's placed on the guard circle, if your world is a Dark Knight, you soul charge 1, and if it's Abyssal Dark Knight, you soul charge 2. Now I don't know if it's Abyssal Dark Knight, you soul charge 2 automatically. Oh wait, no, never mind. I forgot. I'm dumb. I remembered. Abyssal Dark Knight is a set state, and Dark Knight is also set state, which means when one comes up, the other one goes away. Never mind. So yes, that is a free soul charge 2, which is really nice. You get 2 soul, and it's a way just to, fix the soul blaster, because this deck does have somewhat of a soul problem with Orfist, especially when you go crazy-ish with it, with countercharging ways. So Altepo definitely helps with keeping the tempo of the deck in control. I'm sorry, I had to make that joke. 4 copies of Altepo. 4 copies of Cardinal Fang Royosa, one of my favorite cards here. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Auto, when it's placed on rearguard circle, look at top 3, choose up to 1 world card from among them, reveal it, put it to your hand, and put the rest on the bottom. And act rearguard if your vanguard is Cardinal, DS, Orfist. Soul Boss 1, retire this unit and call a Shadow Army token. Really nice grade 1 to call to rear. You get a top 3 for a possible world search, and definitely this deck. You may have 8 worlds, but I cannot tell you how common it is that you will not draw all your worlds. People who run 6 worlds, good for you that you have that much luck or consistency, but I genuinely do not understand how you were able to run so little worlds and draw them, because I have fine luck with it, but Mandala has like shit luck with it, where the only world he'll get is the one where he actively had to use the ride line to do it, and then he does get it on occasion. He does have, most of the time he will get the 2 worlds, but there are occasions where he will not get the world, and those are frequently often. But then, the other skill allowing you to get Shadow Army token, unfortunately they had to name restricted to Orfist, but I guess that makes sense. So all around Rios is pretty good, as it gets you a token and it can get you a free search, 4 of. And then the last grade 1 goes in the ride deck. It's 1 copy of Cardinal Noid Rotis. No copies in the main deck, just the ride deck. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Auto, when it's placed on Vanguard Circle, search your deck up to 1 world card, reveal it, put it to your hand, shuffle your deck. You get your grade 2 world, you can get your grade 3 world. If they ever made a grade 1 world, we could add it to hand. And continues rear guard during the battle that it attacked or boosted. If your world is Dark Knight or Abyssal Dark Knight, it gets +2. So 10k swing, possibly, if you ever called it to rear or booster, but the thing is, you're not going to call this to rear because 1, there's only 1 copy, it goes in the ride deck, and there's no way to get cards out of soul and onto the board, or out of drop zone and onto the board. So, Brutus, as good as he is, it's mainly for that first skill, because the second skill kind of sucks ass. So 1 copy of Brutus, because he literally nets you one of the 2 worlds that you require for your skills to go off. Grade 2 time, 4 copies of the thing that I hate with my living soul, because Mandala keeps spamming this. Cardinal Draco Karjamid. I love this thing's art, I love its skill, but I hate seeing it come on the board on my opponent's side. Grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 10k base. Continues rear guard if your world is Dark Knight or Abyssal Dark Knight. This unit gets boost and intercept from the back row. So, or can intercept from the back row. So, regardless of what knight you're in, as long as you rode this and got a world, you can boost and intercept from the back row with this thing. So already that's good. Like, I don't want to hear anyone talk shit about that, because normally for the good skills, like, that's good. Having a 10k booster and still an interceptor was really good. And then continues guard, so if your world is Abyssal Dark Knight, it gets plus 10k shield, so it's a 15k shield. So, murder fodder in the back row. If you don't know why that's good, is because if you have Shadow Army tokens in the front row, your opponent might want to kill them just to make you waste 2 counterblasts to call them back. But, yeah, 10k shield in the back row. Yeah, now we have retire fodder, so Eugene's gonna have fun with this thing. But, Karjamid is a really good card. It adds shield, it can make your numbers hit slightly bigger, and it's just a really good versatile card that I think is a really good. I think this should have been the triple rare. This should be the triple rare for set 4, and then the triple rare that was, then the card that was actually triple rare for set 4 for Orfist should be the double rare, because this is really good. 4 of. And then 4 copies of an actual triple rare. Cardinal Draco Destigade. Grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 10k base. Love the art. Continues rear guard. If your world is Dark Knight, it gets +2. If it's Abyssal Dark Knight, it gets +5 instead, and if it's active on both players' turns. So, at the very least, once more, if you rode this is a permanent 12k base, assuming that you played the order. And if you played another order, it's a 15. Cool. And like auto rear, at the end of the battle that it swung into anything, retire 3 Shadow Army tokens, stand it. Yeah, this is your endgame finisher. Swing with a column, swing with Vanguard, swing with this boosted, get triggers, put them on this, swing with this boosted, they guard, skill, sack all the other units that aren't behind this, stand it, swing again, big number, hopefully they die. Destigate is really good. it does require some more power output for it to be extremely strong. I wish that it was when it restands, it gets plus 10, but it's not. Just because, like, I mean, granted, it'll make one attack a lot stronger than the other, but it's still always one attack's going to be bigger than the other. So I wish Destajade was like that, but it's still pretty good. Get you that restand, get you that power, and it's a annoying thing to hit into because its base is the same as a Shadow Army token, so 4 of. And then one copy of our last Grade 2 who goes in the ride deck, Carnonoid Cubasa. Grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 10k base, auto van. When a world is put into your order zone, choose one of your other units and choose one of your units, not other units, and it gets plus 5 for the turn. So you can pick him, you can pick anyone else, doesn't really matter, they get plus 5. And it continues rear guard during your turn. If your world is Abyssal Dark Knight, gets plus 5 during your turn. So yeah, like Rutis, second skill sucks ass. You run it in the ride deck at run, you run none in the main deck. Downside is its first ability. The first ability isn't really that good either. I wish it was like when Abyssal Dark, when you put a card into your order zone, either call a Shadow Army token or just draw a card. Maybe the first one's a bit too good, but I feel like it should have just been draw a card or soul charge one or counter charge one. So like there was an option where you either get to draw or you soul charge or you counter charge. So it's like it's to replace the order's cost, but it's fine, I guess. One of in the ride deck. I still wish it was a better Grade 2. It is one of my least favorite Grade 2s, but definitely not the least favorite. And then Grade 3s. Our last unit in the deck is 4 copies, 3 in the main deck, 1 in the riot deck, of the god of coffinary machinery, Cardinal Diaz, Orfist. Grade 3, Twin Drive, Persona Ride, 13k base. Continues Van or Rear Guard during your turn. If your world is Dark Knight or Abyssal Dark Knight, gets plus 5. So really good that regardless of which one you're in, as long as you rode Rutis and got an order from it and played it, this is at least going to be an 18k during your turn. And Active Vanguard Circle, if your world is Abyssal Dark Knight, Counterblast 2 and call up to 3 Shadow Army tokens to rear. Their world changes when you play a specific order. Shadow Army tokens have 15k power and boost. Now, I didn't know this a while ago, but I want to let it be clear. Back in set 1, I didn't notice it was not a once per turn, but I ignored it because why would you use it more than once per turn? In set 2, I actually thought this was a once per turn, and in set 3, I also thought it was once per turn until someone told me, you remember that it's not a once per turn. I mean, you're not going to use it more than once per turn, but it's not. So, yeah, Orfist, it's not a once per turn. You can counterblast 4 and call 5 tokens. Basically, what you would do that for is you call the triple rare from set 4 that's like nuke 3 tokens, gets plus 30 and extra critical. And so what you would do is use Orfist, counterblast 2, call 3 tokens, skill that thing, nuke the 3 tokens, plus 30 and an extra crit to that thing. And then you counterblast 2, call 3 more tokens. You don't use the skill again because 1, it's already PG fodder, and 2, it only gets the extra crit once. So now you have like mainly a full board of units, and then you call 1 more unit. Boom. Downside is you pay 4 counterblasts for this, and you are most likely going to run out of resources the next turn. So that's a Hail Mary move. You can build your deck around that. There is a way to build your deck around that plan. In fact, I do have a version of that lying around somewhere. Is it something I think is good? No, but it's an interesting strategy that you can rely on if you really wanted to nuke PGs, which I also forgot to mention earlier. Yes, we don't run PGs, and I will discuss that later. So, yeah, I don't really know what to say about Orfist. It's a really good card. He gets you 3 cards that essentially 2 of them make a 30k column really easily, and if you combine Personas with that, that's 40k. So big numbers, and definitely one of my favorite decks that did come out of set 1. Not when it first came out, but it has become one of my favorites. So 3 in the main deck, 1 in the ride deck. Order time. 4 copies of Eclipse Moonlight. Grade 2 set order. After set order is played, it goes to order zone. Play it by counterblasting 1. Auto when it's put into your order zone, call a Shadow Army token to rear, and they have the same stats as before. And continues order zone. If your order zone has only world cards, the following effects are active according to the number of cards in your order zone. 1, your world becomes Dark Knight. 2 or more, your world becomes Abyssal Dark Knight. So yeah, once you become Abyssal Dark Knight, like I said before, this effect only goes to the Soul Charge 2-1 and not the Soul Charge 1-1. I do like this order. It gives you just a token for free, basically, because what it says is if it's put into order zone, you get to call a token, which means if you find a way not to pay this cost, you just get a free token. So, but either way, it's a counterblast 1 for a token, and this basically boosting it will make it a free token, and you can combine it with this on grade 2 turn and make for a slight grade 2 rush. So I like this card. It's definitely one of my favorite orders. I especially like the way it looked when it's foiled, so I give it a 4 of. And then our last card in the deck is 4 copies of Howling Moonlit Night. Grade 2, set order as well. After set orders, play it goes to order zone and play it by soul blasting 1. And auto, when it's put into your order zone, you may draw a card. Once more, like Eclipse Moonlight, you find a way not to pay the cost to play it. You just get a free draw. And continues order zone. If your order zone only has world cards, the following effects are active according to the number of cards in your order zone. 1 card, your world becomes Dark Knight. 2 or more cards, it becomes Abyssal Dark Knight. So this one's just an easy draw. Who doesn't want a free draw for it? I don't like the grade 3 order that just says Soul Blast 1 kill rear guard. I don't know why. That's just my least favorite of them, one of them all. That doesn't mean it's bad. That doesn't mean you can't use it. I just prefer this one. I like the draw, and this can definitely make it easier for Soul Charge purposes. So I give this one a good 4 of because it's an actual helpful order. And now onto the reasons why we don't run PGs before I finish this off. The reason why we don't run PGs is because, like, we wanted space. We were joking around with it, but we also wanted space for cards. And we tried it out. It worked out pretty well, but then we also made a version with PGs. We don't know why, but like the PGs either wouldn't show up or the hand got too cluttered with them. And we did multiple test games of this too. Like we did so many, like 10 games with this. I did 10 games on my own, and then we did a few with each other. But all around, the PGs just would like kind of the enemy of the deck to the point where I just gave up, and so did he, on keeping the PGs. So we just left the PGs out of it because the deck worked consistently fine without PGs, and it's kind of like a double-edged sword in the sense that if you fight against a deck that can get going fast, like a Nirvana player like me, okay then, yeah, then we're an issue. But otherwise, it's fine unless you get really far into late game. But this deck has enough power output that you shouldn't get that far in the late game. And then we have our Shadow Army tokens at 5 because I don't think you need more than 5 Shadow Army tokens because you're going to kill a lot of them anyways. They're just grade 1s with boost and 15k power. They're really strong. And that's it for the deck, so hope you guys enjoyed. All around, this deck is definitely powerful. It's got really big numbers with, like, okay, well, not really big numbers, but like 30 to 40k swings, which I'm pretty sure are big numbers for D, not counting Bastion and Bruce to some extent. You get 3 attacks still, but like, you know, you can do the big numbers really early on 2 columns, or 3 columns, technically speaking, while Bastion and Bruce cannot do it early, and even if they could, they only can do it to 1 column. So, you know, deck that can get numbers easily, basically. And deck that is interesting because it does not run PGs and actually works better without PGs. If you want to run PGs because maybe their luck is better for you with them, do it. But we chose not to run PGs for a reason. So, I'm ending here. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, donate to the Patreon, join Discord, follow Twitch, and I'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to stand up your Vanguard.